Hey, I'm Velu with DC Music Summit with another IG interview. And let's wait and check, see who is going to join today. We have Cancer Can Rock joining. Hey, what's up? NeuroFarm about to join with DC Music Summit. And yeah, we're really excited to talk about the NeuroFarm and their project, and let's welcome them. All right, NeuroFarm. We're waiting for the NeuroFarm. So I'm Velu with this Music Summit again. We are an empowerment platform for DC and DMV musicians. Hey, what's up?
How are you?
How's it going?
Good to see you.
Good. Yeah, good to see you too. We're just listening to a little bit of a NeuroFarm here on Spotify. Sounds pretty good. I really like it.
Thank you. Yeah, I recognized that in the background when I heard it, and that's actually not a song I've listened to in a while, but I recognized it right away.
Nice. Well, can you tell me one song that might be a little bit more recent we can play?
Well, so the album that song is on, which the album is called The Descent, and The Descent came out in 2018, I believe, 2018, and so. That's our most recent recorded work. We've actually, I was going to touch on this a little bit later, but we have quite a few newer songs that we've been performing live that haven't been recorded yet. And so some of the folks that have seen us perform before have heard some of those songs. And we also have quite a few even newer songs that have not been performed live yet. And so what you're listening to there is the most recent recorded album that we have. I mean, there are a number of albums before that, but that one in 2018 is the most recent fully recorded album.
Okay, gotcha. Well, great work. I've been listening to it for the last couple of days. And let's hear about the NeuroFarm. Tell us about you. I know that you are indie rock band from the Washington, D.C. area. You have drawn some of your inspiration from several bands like Radiohead, Muse, Blonde, Redhead. So who else and how did all this start?
Sure. So NeuroFarm goes back to I guess the origin would be sometime around 2010 or so. And our guitarist Brian and our singer and violinist Rebecca, they started as a duo. And shout out to Rebecca, by the way. It's her birthday today, which is
happy birthday, Rebecca.
One of the reasons that I'm here. But it is her birthday today, so happy birthday to Rebecca. But so Brian and Rebecca started things as a duo back in around 2010 or so. And, they were writing songs and recording material on their own as the NeuroFarm, but it was just the two of them. And then some years later, they expanded things into a full band. They had a drummer and a bassist before I joined, maybe even a couple different drummers and bassists. But then so I think they might have put out at least 2 and maybe 3 albums just as the duo, as the two of them. And so I joined the band in summer of 2017, so about 3 years ago or so. And real quickly, we gelled real quickly. That all of us, we had a bass player with us at that time, and we kind of dove right into live shows and recording around the same time as well. So that what we were just talking about, that album that you heard, The Descent, we started working on that fairly soon after I joined the band, at least kind of refining some of those songs that would end up on the album. And so, so I guess you could say the band's been around, the name The NeuroFarm has been around for 10 years. I guess the fully formed band version of the NeuroFarm has been around for, let's just say, something like 3 to 5 years or something like that. So, playing all over DC as much as we can. This is obviously pre-COVID-19 and all that kind of stuff. And had a tour lined up for this year. that'll happen at some other point. So we've been trying to expand our horizons a little bit and playing in Baltimore and wanting to. We've had some discussions about future plans and where we'd like to play and bands we'd like to collaborate with and all that kind of stuff. So hopefully we're just at the beginning of our ascent. Even though we've been together now for some time, it kind of feels in a lot of ways that we're kind of just revving up here, which is a real good feeling.
That's great. That's great. I mean, it seems like you have a well, I guess, lineup plan for, what you've done for the past couple of years and what's coming after COVID-19. So sounds great. Where was this tour going to be taking place?
So we decided that we wanted to try and, obviously since we're in DC, there are a lot of areas and towns that are reasonably close to do shorter tours. And when I say shorter, I guess you could say anything between like 3, 4, 5 days or a week, or some regional bands are out there for a week or 10 days at a time or something like that. And so for us, we were going to just try and do a week-long run up the East Coast, up to New York and Philly, upstate New York, maybe up in Buffalo. Where else did we? I think we had plans to go. Oh, New Jersey. Like we were just going to kind of do basically Northeast Eastern run. And this is scheduled for back in April of this year. And so that obviously got postponed, but or canceled, whatever. But so I think we'll probably try and focus our sights on general Northeast area for now. I mean, we've talked in much larger or broader terms of wanting to do some things out on the West Coast if we could. Our guitarist Brian is from California and has family out there, so that would be really a fun opportunity to get out there and do some dates on the West Coast if we could. So, I would say nothing's off the table. We've even talked about international things. That's a whole other set of planning and organization and commitment and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, everything's on the table as far as we're concerned, I think. Why limit ourselves right now?
Right. Yeah, we're big shout out to Dior Ashley Brown, who just joined. Hey, Dior. Checking on the NeuroFarm. So we're just talking about tours and what are the upcoming plans. That sounds great. That sounds awesome. I wish you the best when all this starts.
Thanks.
So what about new music? You say that you have been performing music that you haven't recorded. You have a bunch of songs.
Mm-hmm.
What's the plan? Where are you guys gonna be at? In terms of new music?
So
on Spotify and all the other things.
Oh, sure. I mean, we're always trying to work on new material and songs when we can. If there are certain periods of time, like last year, I know there was a stretch of time where I think we decided we were going to try and focus on working on the new songs, and then really good gig offers just kind of kept coming in, which is a real luxury to have, and it's a real fortunate situation to be in. So we kept putting that on the back burner. Every time we kept saying, maybe we should just take a month off and relax a couple months off and kind of take a break from playing live shows and get ourselves into the writing mode and see where that takes us. But that aside, I think we're always trying to keep the current material well rehearsed and fresh, but then also working on new things as well. And so I would say maybe toward the second half, or at least the last quarter of last year, when we first started performing a handful of new songs. And when I say handful, I guess I mean like if we have an hour-long set of music, maybe we toss in 2 new ones, or maybe 3 at the most, or something like that, and just kind of see what kind of reception those songs get from an audience. So that had been going well. We're starting to feel really comfortable with those songs. And then I think initially our plan for 2020, before COVID-19 kind of took over everyone's life, was why don't we focus on recording a 4 or 5 song EP? Just get something out there that's kind of fresh that we could also use as something to promote on our tour or upcoming tours, since, as we talked about, the last record we did was in 2018. So we wanted to have something a little bit more fresh. And then when it became clear that COVID-19 was going to be much longer or even open-ended than we certainly didn't plan for, expect, or anything like that, we had all these beginnings of song ideas and some demos that Brian and Rebecca had been working on in their spare time, and I try and contribute when I can from a songwriting perspective, though I'm still in the baby steps stage of songwriting as a drummer, but I'm working on it. But so Brian and Rebecca would come.
That's where it starts. That's where it starts, everything.
You have to start somewhere. But so then it became clear that we were going to have a lot more time on our hands, and those beginnings of song ideas suddenly turned into nearly completed song ideas, or at least demos. And so we started circulating demos back in, probably right around March timeframe, right around March-ish, early April, like right around COVID-19 kind of blow up. And we started thinking that, these are pretty solid song ideas that are fairly well formed. Maybe we should, instead of doing just the EP idea, maybe they could turn into a full album at that point. So, our focus and our shift and our plan kind of changed a little bit, but I'm actually really happy that it did, and I'm sure everyone else in the band is too, only because this new material we're real excited about. And I know every band and every artist says this, but I really do think this is going to be our best work ever. So I know that's a cliche thing. Everyone says that, this is going to be our best ever, but I really think this is going to be our best stuff. So we're pretty excited.
That's great. I mean, it's all about evolving, right? Getting better with every album. So yeah, I mean, every new album that you put out there should be the best. I mean,
sure.
I totally agree. I mean, it's just it's just the way it is. So you were telling me about and big shout out to the guys who are joining. We have Rick Corrales, the Detroit Rivers. We have if any of you in the audience have any questions, please type them there on the the comments, and we'll try to include it in the conversation. But so one of the questions that I had, you were saying that you were just getting started in terms of writing as a drummer. But how is that interaction? And how is your experience been? And also how is in general the band? Like how does the band collaborate and work in terms of songwriting and just creating demos? Like how does that work? And especially how does that work right now with COVID-19?
Sure, definitely. And by the way, hi everyone. Thanks for dialing in. It's nice to see anybody join in. So hope everybody's doing well. So to your question, so part one, as a drummer, I have always tried as much as I possibly could to bring as much to the table as I could to a band. And by that I mean, obviously I'm playing the drums and that's my primary role. But I always felt like being in a band is like it's like being in any relationship. You kind of get out of it what you put into it. And so I'd be happy just playing the drums. I'm perfectly happy doing that. But in this band, it always feels, it's inspiring to be in this band. It's a wonderful band to be in. We seem to click and gel very well. I think everybody is fans of everybody else, which is a really lucky and fortunate kind of relationship to have. And so, it inspires me to want to be better and bring as much to the table as I can that might contribute to the overall growth of the band. From a songwriting perspective, as someone who hasn't spent a lot of time refining that skill, that's, it's very new to me, but I'm still very comfortable presenting my bandmates with ideas, even if they suck, even if I know they're crappy. I don't care. I just, I'm happy for them to hear them and pick them apart or critique them or say, well, this part's good, but this part is not good. There's no worry or no concern on that. They're my these are my friends, these are my bandmates, and we make music. We make music together, which is a very personal thing. So if we're not comfortable with each other sharing that kind of experience, then there's a barrier somewhere. So we don't have that barrier, which is wonderful. So to that end, I'm very much beginning my songwriting journey at a beginner level. It's a very interesting and exciting journey to take if you've never done it, and I really haven't. I've been so drummer focused that to write a song from start to finish is a new endeavor for me. So band wise, Brian, I would count Brian and Rebecca as two of the most inventive and unique songwriters that I've ever worked with, and I've been super lucky to have been in many bands in the past, all of which I thought were wonderful bands and very high quality. But there's something different that goes on with this band, particularly with the song ideas that Brian and Rebecca come up with, and even the lyrical themes that are written about. So for now, I would say things generally start with either a basic song structure and chordal things and melodies that either Brian comes up with or Rebecca comes up with. And then we kind of refine them together as a band. But I think the core ideas start with them for now, and then they kind of morph into whatever they end up becoming. So it's certainly a collaborative effort, but Brian and Rebecca are kicking those things off right now.
Gotcha. So they take the lead, but there is room for collaboration and maybe adding maybe something here sounds good. Like how about adding part of the drum in this section? So
sure,
I agree with you. I think that's a really good way of working, and it is a relationship. It is like work. It's a team, and if you have barriers, it makes the journey harder.
Sure,
so,
and there's no worry, there's no like insecurity, there's no concern. Like it's at the end of the day, it comes down to what's serving the song and serving the music. And if something works and it's great, it's great. If it doesn't, it doesn't. We'll move on to the next thing, and maybe something else will. Maybe magic will happen, but it can't happen at every moment or every song. Yeah,
that definitely is a lucky thing to have. So really happy for you guys. So I'm really curious about the violin. It sounds really interesting in the combination that you guys do. So
sure.
How I know that Rebecca started. Is she the one who plays the violin, or who is the one who plays the violin?
Yep, Rebecca's playing violin, and she sings as well, and is playing some keyboards lately too.
Oh,
she's busy.
Pretty pretty impressive. So the idea, like, what would you say would be the main, like, let's say, for example, I've never really heard the NeuroFarm before. What do you think would be the main instruments, like the main, like sort of like the brand?
Sure.
That, when I first hear, I was like, oh yeah, that's totally the NeuroFarm.
Yeah.
Farm.
Well, so it's interesting you say that, because I was thinking back to when we first started talking with one another back in 2017, and they were looking for a drummer and I was looking for a band, and they sent me some material to listen to just to kind of get a sense of the band's sound and what they were doing. And I'd listened to quite a number of different bands' music at that time, because I'd made a bunch of calls and I was talking to a bunch of people to see what I might be able to get involved with. And it was all good stuff. But then when I listened to the NeuroFarm material that they'd sent me, right away I was struck with two things. Well, actually, I'm sorry, three things. So you mentioned it. Number one is the violin, which is not unheard of in rock music or pop music, but it is certainly not the norm. Number two was the sort of ethereal quality of the vocals, both between Rebecca and Brian. They both have very distinctive singing styles. And then the third thing, I guess if you could count as a signature, was sort of the general ambient sound of the music itself. There's quite a bit of reverb going on, and very interesting effects and things that really perk up your ear the first time you're here. You're like, wow, that's different. What is that? And so I would identify those three things. Certainly, as you mentioned, the violin caught my ear right away. In fact, I think I recall wondering at times if I was hearing a keyboard instead of a violin, because of the way that Rebecca uses the instrument in a very unique way. So I'd say those are probably the signature elements of the NeuroFarm, but hopefully at this point we've carved out a sound that is unique to the band where people can identify it as a NeuroFarm sound, and I'm really hoping that's the case with these new songs as well.
Well, I can't wait to hear them when they're ready.
I'm not authorized to say this because but we're hard at work on the album. Let's just put it that way. We're hard at work.
Good.
And when it's ready, it will be ready. I can't say when that will be. That's a very vague.
Okay. So how about if I say, would it be ready before 2022?
Oh, sure. That much I think we can commit to. We can commit to that. Yeah, but no more than that, because otherwise I'll get in trouble.
Before 2022, we'll be ready.
I think we'll be good by then.
Okay, great. So where does the NeuroFarm usually plays before COVID? Where do we find you guys?
Sure. I mean, we played, I think we had a list of all the venues in DC that we wanted to play, and happily we checked all those off. There are certainly others that would be wonderful to play, but I mean, so we did, we curated our own shows, which was called Dark Wave Night, where we invited some of our friends and other bands that sort of fit into the general genre of music that we're playing to come along with us. And we had those shows at the Pie Shop on 8th Street Northeast, right? So we did the Pie Shop a bunch of times, which is a wonderful gig. We played the Rock and Roll Hotel a bunch of times, which was great. Black Cat we did, which is fantastic. That might have been one of our best gigs ever. Where else did we play? Slash Run, which is a music and bar venue up in Northeast, I think, Northeast DC, Slash Run. Galaxy Hut in Arlington was small gig, but fantastic. Like, it's a small room, but awesome gig every time.
They got really good food too.
Sure,
So,
their tater tots are so good.
So good, yeah.
Let's see, where else? We played up in Baltimore right before the pandemic. A club called Reverb up there. Where else? I guess the only places, it would be wonderful to play, a big venue, whatever big means, like, a 930 Club kind of place or whatever. But we all know very well how. I don't get me wrong. I love 930 Club. It's amazing. I love it. I've been there 1,000 times, and it's like a dream when I go there. But from a local band perspective, the idea of playing at a place like 930, we know how that works or doesn't work in terms of.
Unfortunately,
And I'm not bashing.
Hopefully it'll change, because I think we have so much talent in Washington D.C. that it should be a dedicated night, just for local musicians, even if it's just like opening, just opening stages, just the opening band, and even if it is just, but because it's just like a great way for bands to start growing up, because if there is no other way, then where do you go, right?
Sure.
But I totally get you.
And I love 930. Don't get me wrong, I love it. I just they're running a business, and they have to run the business the way they see fit, and that's fine. But it would be nice to play there.
Sure.
I'm not.
I think they can compromise. Hopefully, maybe their heart might change. Who knows? We'll see.
Well, these days, I'm just hoping and praying and wishing that any music venue can stay open through all this. From the larger venues to the smaller venues, it's pretty bleak out there. So I'm hoping and wishing that some magic happens or some funding comes through, which seems sketchy at best. But even for the 930 clubs of the world, it's pretty rough right now.
I know. Yeah, I mean it's gonna be tough, but I'm hopeful that we'll get through it. So one way or another, we'll all get through it. I mean, I know that maybe some people might say, well, the arts, but the arts is what a lot of people need right now. Like we all need the arts, especially right now.
Sure.
We all need the NeuroFarm. So So
Thank you.
yeah, you know, for those who haven't listened to it, if you join, if you haven't heard the NeuroFarm, you should go check them out. I love, so I have a taste of music from like A to Z, and I'm sure gonna start following the NeuroFarm now
Well,
because
thank you.
you guys are great.
That's
You're my favorite.
that's
So
very
yeah.
nice of you to say. It's really appreciated, and we've always appreciated whatever feedback or attention that we've ever gotten. You know, I don't think we've ever had, we never have, and still don't have, I think, any particular expectations or delusions of grandeur or anything. Not, you know, we're doing this because it's amazing. It's fun to do. It's fun to collaborate and create as a unit, and to share that with our circle of friends and followers and people in the community. That's why we're doing this. You know, we're not doing this for any other reason. But so for you to say that is very nice. So thank you so much.
Yeah, I mean, I know that I mean, I'm a musician too, so I know how that is. You know, you do it from the bottom of your heart, but also you would like to have as many people as you can listen to your music because
Sure.
it comes from the bottom of your heart, right? So,
What do you play?
so you know,
What's your instrument?
I sing actually.
Oh, you sing.
So,
Okay.
yeah, I sing. I'm in a band, well, another project. So yeah, but so I get it. I know how that goes, and we recently released an EP, so you know it's exciting stuff. So what are some artists that you know like that come? I know I mentioned a couple. I mentioned Radiohead, Muse, but what are other artists that are inspiration to the band and to you specifically when it comes to and Asma Yase, an awesome singer. Oh.
Cool. You know, I guess collectively as a band, you know, we've talked about this quite a bit when we're entertaining ourselves at band practice or after practice, or if we're hanging out or whatever. You know, and we're always trying to think of like, what are those bands that have inspired us and still continue to inspire us? And you know, you mentioned a few, but I mean, it can be varied. You know, so for example, Rammstein is a you know sort of German metal industrial band that we've followed and have enjoyed a lot. All of us, I think. Who else? Oh, I mentioned the other night I was talking with Brian and Rebecca and some other folks. So Warpaint, which is an all-female rock band, who I think are really interesting, doing some cool stuff. Who else? Sigur Rós, which is an Icelandic rock band, who I think by American standards, very interesting, sort of experimental kind of indie kind of rock. It's spelled Sigurros, Sigur Rós. So that's,
I'm gonna try to find it.
Yeah, check them out. Very interesting stuff. I'm a huge fan of just about every kind of music. I'm a big nerd for Depeche Mode, which is you know interesting coming from a drummer. A lot of drummers are like, oh, that doesn't sound like something a drummer would be into, but I just think their songwriting and lyrics are amazing to me. And let's see who else. Other influences. I mean, local bands, right? Even some of the local bands here that we're friends with, we draw influence and inspiration from. You know, we've done a ton of gigs with a band called Red This Ever. Very creative, extremely interesting, inspiring visual band. They inspire us. Other folks in the community that we've seen. I'm always amazed by the talent that we have here, and that's inspiring to see too. You know,
it is.
We've done some shows with sort of a industrial techno kind of band called 11 Grams. They just put out a new album, or it's about to come out. 11 Grams. So I mean, we draw inspiration from every level and every style of music. I mean, I grew up playing like classical music and jazz and stuff, and here I am in a rock band. But everybody has different backgrounds.
Mm-hmm. So, and then drums, they have been your instrument for forever, or have you did you try something else when you were young, or like do you know how to play another instrument, or it's always been drums for you?
Well, so when I was a little kid, like 10ish or 11, I started taking piano, And I decided piano was, it was very interesting and cool, and I learned a lot, but it was too difficult for me. Or at least I think at that age, I think the teacher that I had was pushing me too hard. I just wanted to like go outside and play with my friends instead of like, you know. So I started piano, and then I switched to drums a couple years later after I saw my older sister play in her school band, and I thought the drums were cool. So, you know, started up with the drums. I just never stopped. You know, so I started when I was 12 or 13. I never stopped, but I was always interested in all the other instruments too. So I have tried to incorporate that into my newfound songwriting experimentation. So, you know, it helps that I did have some piano background. I've really been trying very hard to learn bass guitar as well. So I have a couple bass guitars of my own. I think my fingers are too fat for guitar. I have like these stubby sausage fingers. So I've decided I can never play guitar except for like a bar chord. But I can definitely play bass, and I've been working on that in the last couple of years. But you know, I've always been kind of rhythmic focused. So that just kind of came naturally to me as a little kid, and it still does as an adult. So fortunately, from a songwriting perspective, I can do a lot of that electronically in software-based instruments and things like that. So that helps me along.
Interesting. I like all instruments too. I'm trying to teach myself the guitar right now. So, and I have small hands, not sausage, but hands. So
I mean,
it's tricky.
Look at these things. They're like clubs. So
they're not that bad.
They're good for bashing on stuff and an occasional bass guitar on an E string, and that's about it.
That's about it. Got it. Well, before we conclude, where can we find you? Like, you know, in terms of music and social media, how can people follow you and like keep up with the NeuroFarm?
Sure. Well, thank you for asking, and B, thank you for having us. C,
of course.
So I mean, NeuroFarm's all over the place. You know, we're on all the social media platforms, as most bands are these days. So NeuroFarm, we're obviously on Facebook. We're easily searchable. Obviously, we're on Instagram as well. Same thing. I think we're at the NeuroFarm. There might be, I can't remember if there's dots or periods in there. But anyway, so obviously on Facebook, Instagram, we do have Twitter. We're kind of trying to get the Twitter thing going. It takes a while to really get followers on Twitter, I'm finding. But then we also maintain our own independent individual website as well, which is theneurofarm.com. So that's where you can find the usual things. You know, we have quite a bit of photos and media. We also have a little blog and our own vlog that we host on the website. And I think that's it. The website, all the socials, and I think that's it.
Good. That's plenty. And how about music? So then the usual, like Spotify, Apple, Deezer, all of them.
Sure. Yeah. So we're definitely on Bandcamp. I honestly, we're definitely on Spotify and Bandcamp. I cannot remember for sure if we're on Apple Music. I honestly can't remember. So it's worth looking. I should know.
That's homework. That's homework for me. I'm gonna go and check it out.
I should know.
And how about you?
I just can't remember.
How about YouTube? Are you guys on YouTube? Any?
We are on YouTube. We have our own YouTube channel. Quite a few live concert footage videos up there on the YouTube channel. Again, easily searchable. So a bunch of clips up there from shows that we've done in the past 3 years or whatever. But yeah, YouTube definitely. And I'm trying to think if there's anywhere else. I think that might be it. I think we've covered them all. But yeah, we've kind of spread out our digital presence as much as we could.
That's good. That's good. Well, yeah. I mean, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I really enjoyed our conversation. So yeah, I mean, the audience, please follow the NeuroFarm. They're amazing. it just reminds me of, my, like my time when I was in college. I used to listen to a lot of this music, and so it brings back that, like great memories. But yeah, so you guys have fun. I'm already following you on my personal account. DC Music Summit is gonna is following you too. So we'll see you soon, hopefully.
Thank you so much for having us.
Near you.
It's
all right.
very nice to see you. Take care.
All right.
Okay.
You
Bye.
too. Bye.